A very good evening. You're watching Big Bang with me, Shruti. And first up, there was a high drama before the Taj Hotel at Racecourse Road today. 5 youth were on a jolly ride in 3 luxury cars, driving them recklessly. Immediately, the cops asked them to stop their vehicles. But instead of stopping them, the youth drove them more rashly. Naturally, this vexed the police and they started chasing the cars and stopped them before the Taj Hotel. And when the police sought documents from them, guess what they said? Well, don't be shocked. One of them, by name Kaushik, dared to tell the police that he was the grandson of former Chief Minister and Minister of External Affairs, S.M. Krishna. Another person by name Reddy told them that he was the son of a minister. But the police were not the ones to be fooled. Paying no heed to them, the High Grounds police took them to the station. Further, Kaushik took out his phone and threatened the police that he would click his photos. But sources from S.M. Krishna's office told News9 that Reddy is not the grandson of S.M. Krishna. His grandchildren are in countries like USA, London. On the other hand, the police have filed as many as 6 cases against them and fined a sum of Rs 2,700. And moving on, in a shocking incident today, a little girl died after she was beaten to death, after the culprits are none other than her own guardians.
It was a gloomy sight at a small locality in Dasarahalli. This is the house outside of which 4-year-old Prahalika was seen playing till yesterday. But this morning, the neighbors discovered that she passed away in a hospital nearby. Though the news came as a shock, many were not surprised.
ಗೋಡೆಗೆ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಮಗು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಗೋಡೆಗೆ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಹಿಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಹಿಂಗಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ನಾವು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೆನ್ನೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೆನ್ನೆ ದಿನ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಬಾಕ್ಲಾಕೊಂಡು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದಾರಲ್ಲ. ಹೊಡೆದಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಮಗುಗೆ ಹಂಗಾಗಿದೆ. ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಡೆಡ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ.
According to the neighbors, the girl was often brutally beaten by her mother and her paramour. They had recently moved into the house in Dasarahalli and did not want to take care of Prahalika. She was often seen with bruise marks and black eyes when she played outside the house. The neighbors questioned them about the bruises on the child's body and were even asked to vacate the house by the owner.
ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡೋರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ರಾಗ ಕುತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋರು ಬರೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಓಡಾಡೋರು. ಮತ್ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇವ್ರೇನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಬೈದ್ರು. ನೀವು ಈ ತರ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಹೊಡೆದಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ, ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಮನೆಯ ಅಂತ. ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೈತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಏನ್ ಈಚೆ ಕಡೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋರ ಪಾಪ ಮಕ್ಳು, ಈಚೆ ಏನು ಕೂತ್ಕೋತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೊಡೆದಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಸ್ತೈತೆ. ಹೊಡೆದಿರೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ.
Prahalika was again brutally beaten last night, and this time it claimed her life. She was immediately rushed to the hospital to avoid suspicion. But the doctors at Columbia Asia Hospital were shocked by the state in which she was brought. The little girl had sustained several burn marks and bruises all over her body. Both her legs were broken. The mother Amrutamma and her paramour Bhaskar Naidu were immediately taken into custody, and a case was registered with the Amritahalli police.
The reason behind the assault, he says, is that she spilled kerosene in the bathroom. For that reason, he has beat her up with a wooden stick. And the whole body bears injury of that assault, and then there has been hemorrhage in the brain also. The neighbors there say that he kept on assaulting her day in, day out. So yesterday it had become fatal.
The family hails from Andhra Pradesh, and Prahalika's biological father succumbed to swine flu. This is when the mother is said to have developed an intimate relationship with Bhaskar. They have confessed to their crime, stating that the girl was physically abused so that she would return to their home in Andhra. Vishnu Prasad, News 9, Bengaluru.
Medical students aspiring for postgraduate seats continued their agitation today in front of the Karnataka Examination Authority office against the indifferent officials. Understanding the severity of the situation, the officials finally conducted the counselling. Here's the complete report.
That bewildered look on the faces, the growing anxiety resulting in the protests. This was the scene witnessed in front of KEA office in Malleshwaram. The confusion over medical seat allotment continued as students took to protests for the second consecutive day. The officials who stayed mum yesterday finally broke their silence and put the confusion to rest. The seat matrix was to be released after including the number of surrendered seats and also unclaimed seats online. But the officials failed to do this. This resulted in students taking to protests against the slothful officials. The students took the protests to the streets and there was a rift between the police and students. The KEA officials and the medical counsellors, sensing danger, began their work. They assured the students that they would clear the confusion regarding the seat matrix. The students, with no other option available, finally agreed to attend the counselling.
Actually, we were protesting for the missed seats that are been allotted in the seat matrix yesterday, which they had allotted. But there are about 18 seats difference in the seat matrix. For that, we were fighting. But now we got the information that tomorrow is the last date for the this admission in the private colleges, the government seats that are there in the private colleges. If we in case we not admit into the private colleges, those seats will be transferred into the management quota. So to avoid those things, and there are about 280 seats in that, 180 seats in that category. So to avoid that loss of 180 seats, we have agreed for the this one third round counselling.
The Supreme Court in its verdict had given June 29th, that is today, as the last day of counselling, and the officials were in a fix as they had to complete the counselling process amidst the protests. The students were also in a fix to get their counselling done as tomorrow is the last day of admission in colleges. Any delay in the counselling would result in contempt of court. The delay in allotment of seats would also result in the transfer of these seats to private colleges. Taking note of all these issues, the officials requested the students to cooperate in the counselling process and they also cleared the uncertainty hovering over the seat matrix issue.
Seat matrix was put day before yesterday. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ದಿವಸ ರಾತ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಸೀಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಕೆಇಎ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಬಂದು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿನಿಯರು ಬಂದು ಸೀಟ್ಗಳು ಸರೆಂಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು ಸರೆಂಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಸೀಟನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು, ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದೇ ಸರ್ವರ್ದಿಂದ ಎರಡು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕಂಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಅನುಮಾನ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಅನುಮಾನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಒಂದೊಂದೇ ಸೀಟನ್ನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಆಗಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಸೀಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
This is the first time that Karnataka has embraced PGCET. The confusion over seat matrix had caused tension among the students, leading to protests. With the officials now clearing the uncertainty, the counselling process has finally ended. Amrita, News9, Bengaluru.
Well, when 67-year-old Gopal Reddy, a retired PWD officer from Baswanapura, and 45-year-old Redappa, a contractor, set out for work this morning on their bike. Little did they know that they would be mowed down by a KSRTC bus at KR-Puram. The incident took place in Bhattarahalli on Old Madras Road. The injured were immediately shifted to a nearby hospital where the doctors declared the two dead. A case has been registered at KR-Puram Traffic Police Station. Well, yes, a KSRTC bus hit the bike and the two died on the spot. But this is not the first one. There have been numerous such cases where speeding KSRTC and BMTC buses on Bengaluru's roads have claimed lives. And moving on, Silicon City's largest public transport operator, BMTC, made a fool of itself quite a few times when mischief mongers managed to drive away with parked buses. But all that could now be history once BMTC goes ahead with a new game plan.
That's right. BMTC bosses who were time and again virtually taken for a ride have now managed to fix the problem. The problem was that mischief mongers who would board these parked buses would have to simply press the ignition button and the beast would roar to life, allowing for a pleasure trip at the expense of the public. BMTC's new game plan is to ensure that a new lock system is installed in all the new buses.
ಕೀ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಹೊಸ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಕೀ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಆದರೆ ಹಳೆ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ನೀವೇನು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ BS0 BS1 BS2 ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆ ಬಟನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇತ್ತು ಆ ಬಟನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
For the existing fleet of buses, BMTC has proposed to install retro system, a move which is expected to take some time before all the 2000 odd buses have the system operational.
ನಾವು ರೆಟ್ರೋ ಫಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಸೆಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಲಾಕ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ರೆಟ್ರೋ ಫಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಟ್ರೋ ಫಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಈ ರೆಟ್ರೋ ಫಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
Curiously enough, the BMTC fleet did have keys at one point of time, but there were some mechanical problems that the buses encountered, forcing the corporation to adopt the ignition button system.
ಅವಾಗಂದರೆ ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ಟೇರಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ ಜಾಮ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಈ ಥರ ಮತ್ತು ಹೆಡ್ಲೈಟಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಈ ಥರ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್.
One hopes that the decision of the BMTC will prevent mischief mongers taking the corporation for a ride at the cost of the public. Pavitra, News9, Bengaluru.